Rolling along, having some fun here on the early line, a Monday morning edition for March the 4th. It is March Madness. It's time for some fun. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ramirez. We welcome in Tom Vecchio from FanDuel to have some fun. Tom, how's it going this morning?
I'm doing good. Yeah, super fun time to be a sports fan. We've got the NHL trade deadline at the end of this week. Conference tournament starting for March Madness. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff all the way around. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into the NBA tonight. Yesterday, we saw the Clippers in a defensive effort here. How about that? Picking up a victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves back-to-back tonight on the road against the Milwaukee Bucks. This line opened up at the FanDuel Sportsbook at 5.5 and currently sits at 5.5. A total opening up at 229.5, now down to 226. Of course, we don't know exactly who's going to be in the starting lineup, particularly for those Clippers. But Tom, give us a look tonight. Clippers-Bucks.
I'm actually liking the Clippers tonight, and I got to say, I think the Bucks are being a bit overvalued. 5-game winning streak for them. That's great. They started off super rough under Doc Rivers. Win against the Timberwolves, sure. Win against the 76ers without Embiid, I'll call that a half a point. 2 wins against Charlotte and 1 win against the Bulls. Like, those 3 wins do not impress me. So I think the Bucks are being a little bit overvalued tonight. I would specifically side with Kawhi Leonard tonight. Over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. This is a pace-up spot for the Clippers, combined with the Bucks aren't good on defense. We can't take this 5-game sample size as like set in stone when you're winning 2 games against the Hornets. So I will take Kawhi. I will take a little bit of regression from the Bucks. I think the Clippers cover. I think they can win outright, assuming everyone's in the starting lineup for them.
That's the interesting part, Tommy, too, right? Because Kawhi and Paul George have actually played the second of a back-to-back this year. Like, wait a minute, what is going on? I don't know if that continues the closer we get to the playoffs here. But we do have another team coming up here, I believe, tonight, second of a back-to-back. How about OKC taking on the Lakers here tonight? Little late night in L.A. What are we looking at?
We're looking at no defense tonight. Both teams are in the top 10 in the league when it comes to offensive pace. Super high over-under. It's a 1-point spread. I mean, this is what we should be expecting from these teams. OKC obviously having a fantastic year. Lakers don't play defense. I think all of the star lines, SGA, LeBron, AD, even Chet Holmgren, I think all those lines are super refined. Like, they've been bet a ton. So I actually want to go to some secondary markets with Jalen Williams. Over 4.5 rebounds, only minus 113. As I said, great game environment, high over under 1-point spread. He's kind of that secondary piece behind SGA at 1A, Holmgren at 1B, and some of his lines are actually rather soft. He's generally getting to about 4 rebounds per game. I'm banking on the game environment being able to push him over 4.5 tonight.
By the way, if we're looking at this game, OKC versus the Los Angeles Lakers, it's interesting to me because you take a look at OKC yesterday, great win against the Phoenix Suns on the road. So now they're on a back-to-back. We saw the Lakers at home on Saturday night with LeBron James going to go clearing that 40,000-yard marker, but they also lost that game by double digits. But the reason I want to focus on OKC in this game, typically we see throughout the season, okay, let's rest our starters here, maybe rest a starter or 2. But when you look at OKC, you are fighting tooth and nail with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Can they take a night off tonight? And also, what do you think these starting lineups will be? Because the Lakers are a slight favorite, but only -1, even though OKC's on a back-to-back here, Tom.
So I actually think OKC, they're fighting tooth and nail. I think between OKC and the Timberwolves, I actually think one of them win the West. I don't think it's going to be Denver. Denver, we know what they can do. They've proven it before. I actually think they take their foot off the gas because they have nothing to prove, right? OKC and the Timberwolves are these younger teams that still need to prove that they belong among the best in the West. So I expect full lineups from everyone tonight. The Lakers, what we see from them defensively and even as a well-rounded effort is a mystery on a nightly basis. So I have very little interest in taking the Lakers. I think going with the Thunder, going with the over is probably the route to go tonight.
Yeah, SGA, too, played 38 minutes last night, and they needed all of it from him in order to win that game against Phoenix in the fourth quarter. So it'll be interesting to see what you get from him tonight here. But who knew it? I think this is just the 4th time all year the San Antonio Spurs have actually, if I'm not mistaken, won a game back-to-back. And I'm saying that because I'm still kind of pissed off about the Indiana Pacers losing that game last night. But there is nobody more disappointed, I think, than Chicago Bulls fans on what has come out here so far out of this season. I don't know why a lot of these guys are still on this team, but they are. Do we trust them on the road going to Sacktown here and lighting a beam? I don't. Are you a big Bulls believer here?
No, I'm not. I think they did not make the right moves at the deadline. They should have moved a ton of players. I know they're dealing with a ton of injuries. It is what it is. My most sought after market tonight for this game will be the prop for Keegan Murray. None of the lines are posted. De'Aaron Fox is still listed as questionable. He's missed the past few games for the Kings. But Keegan Murray is a great three-point shooter. The Bulls, they're allowing 14.6 threes from their opponents per game. That's last in the league. Over the last 3 games, that's up to 17 threes allowed. So Keegan Murray, who set a rookie record last year for threes made, will be the market that I'm targeting tonight.
If we take a look at the NBA Western Conference odds here, it's the Denver Nuggets at a plus 195 price here at the FanDuel Sportsbook as the favorite, followed closely by the Los Angeles Clippers. However, if we take a look at the standings themselves, there are 3 teams within a half game of each other. That's OKC, Minnesota, and the Denver Nuggets. Is it a foregone conclusion for us now that the Denver Nuggets are just going to overtake OKC and also Minnesota? Or in your mind here, is there worthy plays on, plus 750 here on OKC, plus 900 on the Minnesota Timberwolves to win the NBA Western Conference, Tom?
Like I said, I think the Nuggets actually take their foot off the gas a little bit. They'd rather go into the playoffs fully healthy. I don't think a second or third, even fourth seed for them is too much of an issue. They can defend home court well up at altitude. My most the spot that I have the interest in would be the Suns at plus 800, plus 900, wherever they are. From a talent perspective, I think they can take anyone on. And if you gave me the Suns versus OKC or the Suns versus the Timberwolves in the second round, I think most people would be interested in the Suns, even if they don't have home court, even if they don't have even if they're the underdog in the series, like that veteran leadership that they have, even Devin Booker, who's been to the finals before, they have that well ahead of the Timberwolves and well ahead of OKC. So I will take the Suns at plus 900 simply from a talent perspective. They just need to be fully healthy.
Let me ask you, Doc, how good, I mentioned the Spurs, but how good is Wembanyama in your opinion here? They've got some great new specials available there that you can back on FanDuel. I love to record a quadruple double this season. I think that is absolutely fantastic. But is he every bit as good, if not better, than Chet Holmgren in your mind?
I think so. Like when it comes to Wemby, like what I'm thinking about most is like, what is he going to look like in 5 or 6 years when he puts on 40 or 50 pounds, hopefully? Like he's really going to be the next Giannis, but like he has to develop. So they've been kind of limiting his minutes. He like really has been pushing past 35 minutes too often this season. It's actually in the high 20s, low 30s. So for a quadruple double, will we see that? Probably not this year, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility in like 3 years. Especially if the way the game has developed, like all offense, no defense in the regular season, combined with the way that the Spurs play, it's like not that crazy to see at some point in his career. Probably not this year, though.
Let's flip it over to ice hockey, Tom. Have some fun with this. And by the way, there is a minus 480 favorite tonight in the Colorado Avalanche, which we don't need to handicap that game. We're going to go to Broadway, and that's Florida and New York. Bobrovsky versus Shesterkin. And how about this? The FanDuel Sportsbook opened up this game at a minus 111 price here as a favorite for the Rangers, which is now flipped over to Florida for a minus 125 favorite. Florida and New York. Give us an update here on what we think is going to happen tonight in the Garden.
Well, the 5.5 line is not something we normally see for the NHL, at least, this season, the past few years, just because there's so much scoring. Both these teams are at the top of the conference, despite how hot the Rangers have been, winning 11 of their last 12 games. Over the last 2 weeks, they're actually dead last in the league with 78 shot attempts allowed per 60 minutes in 5v5 situations. That is not good. So they are giving up a ton of shot attempts. And over that same time, the Panthers are the 4th highest league for total shot attempts generated. So I'm not surprised to see the line flip in favor of the Panthers. So I actually like going to Carter Verhaeghe over 3.5 shots. He's averaging just over 3.2 shots per game. He's coming off a game where he had no shots on goal. So simply just due for some positive regression on the first forward line, on the first power play. This is a player that is consistently generating 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shot attempts. He should be able to put them on net against the Rangers team. Again, 78 shot attempts per 60 minutes is absolutely terrible, despite them winning all these games.
It was a hell of a year last year in South Florida because we had Stanley Cup and NBA Finals going on here. There is a lot of buzz here that maybe this Florida Panthers team better than the one that made it to the finals a year ago. Are you buying them? Eastern Conference and, of course, champs this year?
Yeah, I actually think the Panthers might be the most well-rounded team among that top 4. That's where the conference winner will come from. The Hurricanes, the Panthers, the Rangers, the Bruins. I don't think any of those other teams have a shot. The Canes are missing scoring depth. The Rangers are missing bottom 6 help. When it comes to the Bruins, they also need some center depth. They also need some bottom scoring. The Panthers are the most well-rounded team. The most interesting part for them is they started off the year super strong, despite not having Brandon Montour and Aaron Ekblad, top two defenders. They've rounded into form. Bobrovsky looks amazing. They have the experience now to push past things in the playoffs and into the playoffs. And I think they really are the most well-rounded team. So it's not a super long number on them. And honestly, I would have more interest in taking them in the first round at like -1.5, whatever that line may be in terms of a series spread. But that number isn't long enough, but I still think they come out of the East.
Quick question on this, Tom. The Hart Trophy, the MVP for the regular season in the NHL, 4 guys at 360, plus 360 or less here. Matthews, McKinnon, Kucherov, and McDavid. Who gets your vote right now if you had one?
It's going to be Matthews. If he hits 70 goals, which we talked about last week, which hasn't been done since 91 in like 32 years, 31 years, whatever it is, he's going to win it. You get him at 3.5, 4. I think that may be fine. We're probably not going to find that number. And honestly, if you do find that number, it probably means because his goal pace has slipped. So it's probably going to come down to McKinnon or Matthews for me. If he hits 70 goals, Matthews wins it. If he doesn't, it's going to be McKinnon with 130 points or whatever he ends up with.
Fantastic stuff all the way around, Tom, here. And by the way, his top props tonight are listed as follows. Kawhi Leonard over 10.5 rebounds and assists tonight. Jalen Williams over 4.5 rebounds. And also Carter Verhaeghe over 3.5 shots at a plus 130 price. Tom, thanks for checking in with us today. Fantastic stuff as usual. We'll talk to you again sooner than later. But myself and Joe will be back for NBA action. You guessed it. We'll be right here.